All right, hey, Sam here with you on a Tuesday, April 17th, and we are finishing up today with Ethereum Classic, right? So per the polling that we do, this was our third contender here, also on Bitfinex. So I've got up here, now this is a 3-hour of Ethereum Classic to the dollar on Bitfinex. And we don't actually need to go through all of this prior action here. We're really working from this pivot low. So I'm really focusing on the reaction that we have here coming out of this potential pivot low here. So we potentially are finishing with a C wave into a 5 wave here. So we've got the 1, 2, 3, 4. We finish in the 5. So we've got this foundation down here, as we have with so much of crypto here. We have the potential now for these trends to have turned bullish after the very long correction. So with that said, I'm just going to zoom in here so we can look at what I'm proposing is the start of a new trend. It certainly has all the ingredients that we would look for. So here's our fifth low here. Essentially, we could call it a double bottom, and then we get this reaction here. So we get this is our higher low that sets up potentially now as a 1, 2, right? So deep for the 2. Indeed, but up we go. Now we have this potential now here for this third to be in. So as I look here on the 3 hours, there's a few things I can do right off the bat. So obviously I want to check the 1, 2. Now I know that's deep. We go to the 887, right? So not to be ignored, the 887, it truly is a last stand for a retracement to stay internal. So we get it to the tick. 887 is the square root of 886. So you will see that on very deep second waves. Not uncommon. That's why it's there. So we get the 1, 2, then up we go. Here's the algo target. So we're actually getting all the way to the extreme algo target of the negative 618. So having looked at that and said, okay, well, if that's a 1, 2, then I can start measuring for probable targets for my third. So I can take the length of the 1, project it from the low of my 2, and if I pull this over here, so I can see, okay, well here, so right now I have this labeled here as my third here, which yet again puts us kind of in no man's land relative to a precision target here. We know the high probability zone is here between the 1618 and the 175. The extreme is the 2618. So if I look at this here now, we've gone just shy of the 2618, and I'm looking for, so if this is 1, 2, here's the first, here's the extreme, potentially now I'm setting up with a third here. So what helps me identify this is the subdivision that I see along the way. So let's go down to the 1 hour and dig into that subdivision a little bit more. So if I reset this and then we open it up, get a better look at it, well, I'm going to take that off, right? So we can look, say, now, okay, well, if this is the 3 up here, bring this down here. If this is my 3, well, I've got to have an impulsive wave structure within that 3, right? That's part of the rule set that dictates how we approach the market when we have our Elliott wave hats on. So there's our 1, 2. Now I need to get an impulsive wave. So the 1, 2 is staring you right in the face. Hard to miss that, right? So you can always work backwards going, where are the deepest retracements? So if that's a 1, 2, well, what can we do? All right, so I can take the low, so the proposed 2 low here that sets up my swing high to my 1. Well, what do we do? Right to the golden zone. All right, so golden zone, boom, come out. We know a 2 come between the 50 and the 786. This gets right into that pocket. First algo target, second, all the way to the third. I mean, damn near makes the absolute extreme. So we've got a strong market. Now I can start working from that. So looking within that as well, just as I did with the other one, I want to look for a potential target here for my third. So I'm going to take the length of my proposed 1, project it from my 2. Well, here's the 1618, 175. You can see we get a little reaction there. So you can see it hits right in the pocket here, and then we get one more little spike through that just comes shy of the 200. So given that strength, it would suggest to me that I've got a good potential third here. Now I get my A, B. It does not overlap here, so it's essentially a flat. So I get an A, a 3-wave B, and then down I come for the C. Well, given that, of course, I'm going to measure for my fourth to have a relationship between the length of the third. So if I work from my 2 low to my 3 high, what am I looking for, right? So here's the likely target here. We've got the 3A2. This is our high probability zone. We come right So we get just actually through here. We get a few wicks through the 382, but we hold right in the pocket here. There's no threat to the wave 1 high. And then we get a little kick here. It looks like we get 5 coming out of that. So we get a 1, 2, 3, 4, little kick up for the 5. Puts us in here. Now we come a little shy because we don't make the algo target on that. So all right, so the expectation would have been we get up here, but doesn't make it. Rolls over. So what does that suggest to us? Well, potentially now what I've got is my completed 5-wave impulsive wave structure within my third here in green. So I've got a good potential count here. Now, given that I've got 3 pivots, I'm always going to want to check the pitchfork. So if I look here and then I go here, well, we've come back to the median line here. So that's kind of interesting. Here's the 200 upper parallel. Here's the 100. So this seems to be holding the geometry of the market quite nicely here. Make sure I'm right on this. Let me get that right on it. You want to get these really dialed in on those lows. All right, so in this kind of precision trading, you really want to get those dialed in. So here's my little reaction. We hover around it. We come right, look at that, right into the lips of the Vegas wave. God, that's just amazingly consistent. So there's a great contender here for my 4 with a target now for my 5. And it looks like we're on our way here. So here's my potential target up here for my 5th. Now, nothing says we must stop there, but I got a good algo target. And I've got some market geometry here that seems to be supporting. I feel like I'm getting the entire range of the market here. So does that potentially set up here? Well, all the symmetry is good. All the retracements are exactly where you'd expect them to go, right in high probability zones. I've got my median line here as we're wrapping around it on our way to the upper parallel. So all looks very promising here that we've now put in a, so really all we're trying to do is qualify this as a good low. If we come off of this in 5, that adds credibility to that premise that I've got a good low here, and now we're moving into a new trend. Now, ideally, right, we'd like to see this at least get up to this first algo target to complete the 5-wave structure. We might also look, if I pull this with that as a target, I would also be looking for a relationship between my 1 wave and my proposed 5th wave. So if that's a good 4 there, I pull this over, right? So potential targets here. Well, we know we've got the algo target. This is a contender here. This is the 1272, right? So I get a little hot box up here that's got a nice confluence target. I've got a zone target here where I've got market geometry, I've got Elliott wave relationships, and I've got just a straight algo pull and target. So all contenders here. Now, we may not go just straight, right? We may not just rip right to it. So it's very reasonable. If that's a 4, we'd be looking for 5-wave subdivision in the 5th, right? So we may very well have just put in a 1 wave here. If we get a retracement here, this will be notable. So 1, do we get a 2, 3, 4, 5? Is that how we get there? Well, it remains to be seen. So what? Just now looking at this, so let's take some of this off since we have that box identified. So if that's a 1, right, same thing every time, guys, every single time. If that's the 1, where's my target for my 2? Well, right down here between the 50 and the 618, which would be, coming back to a return to the median line. So here's a potential candidate here for my 3rd. This could be going higher. So we maybe the 4 brings us back to the median line. Maybe we're going up higher. We just don't know, right? So all we can do is look for these relationships. So yet again, I can take the length of the 1, projected from that 4. Now we look over and we go, okay, what would be an extreme target? Well, here would definitely be an extreme up here if we get to the 1618, the length of the 1. So that's a contender. All right, here's my negative 100 from this pull. So this is just a potential roadmap as to how we may get there. That might be our 3rd, come down for the 4th. Maybe we've got another kick in the 5th to get us to the 5th right here that just does nothing other than complete a proposed 1 wave coming out of that technical low. Right? All we're looking to do is confirm that we've got a good, solid technical 1 wave. So in the very larger degree, we'd be working from this as a low, proposed pivot here, we don't know, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go up, get it into a, we'll go intermediate. We'll go to blue, that'll work. So all of that all of that to try and qualify and get us into a one wave. If that's a one wave, right? Of course, we know just like any one wave, the degree does not matter. We would just do the exact same thing again. So if this is our one, then all we're going to do is look for that. Just as we look for the 2s and the 4, we're just going to look for the entire thing to retrace. If we get this one, now I'm hypothetical here, here's our 2 down here. That's where we're looking to be a buyer, right? Between the 50 and the 618, that's the proposed 2. We get a low volume node right there, kind of interesting. Potentially at the proposed 50, we don't know. We don't know that we go there, but if we get there, then we're looking for, so we're actually, what we're looking for is 3 waves, right? We're looking to get down there in 3. Right, so that it's always the same thing, guys. How can I build the roadmap that will get me there so that I've got a scenario that makes sense so I can try and anticipate where are the high probability zones. If this is going to play this way, well, of course, I'm looking for a 2 here, just like I'm looking for a 2 here of the larger degree. It's the same thing. That's the power of this. It's doing the same thing on every single degree. You really have to understand that. That is the power of it, and then the rule set that comes along with it, so that you let that rule set determine when you're wrong, so you're not wondering about it. A rule is broken. Well, it can't be that, so I must be wrong, right? Or I've hit a high probability zone, so that adds credibility at a high probability zone where I get a pivot that, oh, potentially my roadmap here is playing out perfectly. Because we know there's a statistical probability for that pivot to be happening at that level. That's all we get. That's all we get, probabilities, right? And potential scenarios. When it follows it, and you will experience those times when it'll follow it, it'll almost be like it's magic, like you've got an unfair advantage. When you see that, that's when you make your money. That's what offsets all those times that you get stopped out, small loser, small loser, small loser. When you get this, you've got leverage all along the way. So it's almost, you've got an unfair advantage. And that's the point of what I'm trying to show you here but you'll note it's the same thing every time. Every 2 gets approached the same way. Every 4 to 5, every 1 to every target for the 3rd, every target for the 5th in a relationship to the 1. It's always the same thing. It's just a question of what degree you're working in. And looking for that fractal nature of LA wave, which is waves within waves within waves. All right, so this will be interesting to see. Ethereum Classic, very strong project, one of my long-term holds. I'm very bullish on this project. I think there's great potential here. So believe me, this is my roadmap right here. That's exactly what I'm looking for, hoping for, and expecting to trade. All right, this setup here, that's a buy. Right, that's just an opportunity to get in with a hard pivot down here. So this is. Be sure we're clear about what I'm looking at here. So this is potentially now the 1-2 setting up to go up for the 5. And so if there's a buy in here, we're looking at, call it 1597 with a target up here of 1819, somewhere in that range. And all that does is set up for the next buy at the 2 with this target up here. All right, guys, I'll wrap it there. Oh, but just before I go, just one reminder. We now, most of you watch with crypto in mind. You'll find if you visit our other channel here, which is Trade Devils, it's plural, Trade Devils on YouTube, that this exact same methodology, everything that I show you here in crypto is exactly the same. It doesn't matter what the asset class is. It's always the same. That's the power of it. Same thing every time. So if you go over and look at whether it's a currency trade or yesterday I did silver or metals or Netflix I did yesterday or any of the other traditional asset classes, it's always the same thing. The market moves the same way. It's just, can you find these entry points, these low risk, reasonable reward entry points following this same methodology, because this is exactly how the market moves. It does not matter what the underlying asset class is. Same thing every time. So you can go over to Trade Devils, plural, because we're doing multiple asset classes there, and take a look at how these methodologies translate to other asset classes. All right, guys, with that, I will wrap it there. You can always visit tradedevils.com to learn more about our membership or one-on-one private coaching that we offer. Any of the things that we can do to help your trading experience be more profitable. All right, guys, I'll wrap there.